Being the target of insults is not fun. Have you ever experienced it yourself? Painful words cut like knives, and it's easy to feel them in your heart. When you feel hurt, you may feel compelled to defend your honor by fighting back. You may choose to fight back against the person who insulted you, or the pain may become too overwhelming for you, leading you to withdraw from the situation and carry the pain in silence. You can choose to stay quiet and walk away, putting distance between yourself and those who have hurt you, but have you ever thought about why they insult you? Clearly, these people use frustrated words to say someone isn't worth anything. They harbor negative emotions, a shadow they struggle to overcome. Shake them off. They're the bullies of society who take out their anger and distract others, hoping to alleviate their own fears, may respond with harsh words or distance themselves to maintain peace. However, a Stoic theory offers a more subtle and useful approach, teaching us not only how to deal with insults, but also how to make the person who insults you feel bad. When someone expresses their own fears, embrace Stoicism as a protective shield, not as a means of retaliation, but as a means of achieving inner peace. The most crucial strength practice is to continue speaking until the conclusion of your sentence. Ons is too. Person also loses rhythm, which makes it hard to keep up with the conversation you need to finish. Every line and every step in your dance should be performed without attempting to dominate. When you're on the floor, your confidence comes out not from talking more, but from Stoic philosophy, which teaches us to carefully finish each line. Controlling your speech demonstrates character and self-respect, eliminating the need for physical confrontations to defend your opinions. By taking the time to finish each phrase and not cutting your ideas short, you make a strong impression on others and make room for them to listen. Marcus Aurelius, a wise man, once stated that the most effective way to retaliate against someone who mistreats you is to confront them instead of reacting. When you're angry, stay calm, finish each line, and let the steadiness of your speech be the base of your confidence. Flow in speech is more than just demonstrating your confidence and drawing attention to yourself. People are more likely to pay attention if they can follow the flow of your thoughts through each full line. Those who wish to express their opinions should refrain from raising their voices when someone tries. Instead of interrupting or cutting them off, you should continue quietly, finish your statement, and lead the conversation with poise, leading the other person to understand how rude they were. Russell is a great example of this. Russell's presence on the morning show, where he diligently works on his ideas, is a testament to his inherent calmness and self-assurance. Russell doesn't need to fight for the right to speak. He simply finishes each thought with his usual calm, making it difficult for those who are against him to ignore him. This is reminiscent of Jaden Smith's early work. While Jaden's ideas were sound, his lack of confidence in articulating them often resulted in him leaving out words from his statements. While others trail or stammer when interrupted, Russell consistently completes each sentence. His self-respect earns. On the other hand, if we frequently pause in the middle of a line or allow others to finish it, or if we speak over others without allowing them to finish, our audience may perceive us as absent or missing. We must maintain consistency and confidence in our approach to speech. Inconsistency. Thoughts are sound. Inconsistency can lead to people doubting us. If a person's communication style falters or halts, they are less inclined to express gratitude, which is why it's crucial to maintain consistency in all your interactions. It's not just about presenting yourself, but also building trust with others. This doesn't require you to engage in lengthy conversations or dominate the conversation. When someone insults you, your speech should convey calmness rather than anger, not anger. You only need to carefully finish each sentence with a calm tone, interrupting or ignoring your point of view as necessary. This calmness shows that you're sure of yourself enough not to use words to fight. When you speak, think of the flow of water. slow and strong but not rushed, but impossible to break. If you practice this, you'll see a difference in how people listen to you, which will not only make them pay more attention, but also be persuaded by how steady your voice is. Remember that your goal is not to take action against people who treat you badly, but to make them see how insecure you are. When you walk into a group of people, they will notice your calmness and consistency, and they will share various points of view. The Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of viewing each individual as unique, and practice number 2 makes this clear. Treat each member of the group as a person. Each person of a group as a person? Have you ever been in a group where you felt like you were lost in the crowd and couldn't be seen? This feeling of fading into a lot of people have backgrounds, especially in places where people are seen more as part of a group rather than as people with their own thoughts, feelings and morals. When there is a lack of respect, and even when building respect, treating each person as a unique individual is a very important concept. There is worth when we see each person in a group not just as a part of a bigger thing, but as a unique person with their own points of view. We set the stage for real interaction as we send a strong word to those around us when we respect them more than anything else. Message that even the rudest people must pause and think about. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you need to do. Epictetus is one of the most famous Stoics. It was said by a philosopher that we should begin by setting the goal of we have to make a choice if we want to treat others with respect and honesty. To see each person as unique and to value their presence. What's worth mentioning is that one way to do this is to use people's names hold a lot of power because they make us feel like we're unique and important. An important person in a group, when you call someone by their own name, whether you're aware of it or not, you're sending a message that you know and treat them like a person, not just a part or a number in the crowd. For example, if you're in a meeting or a social event, knowing and using calling out each person's name can completely change the mood, even if this seems like it feels a little strange at first, especially if you're not used to it. It's clear that Dale Carnegie was a famous author. One person said that their name is the sweetest sound in the world. Language, but what if you can't remember everyone's name? You can still treat each person as a unique person by talking to them directly, and, as an example of showing respect, making eye contact is a simple but powerful move. To be respectful and pay attention in a world where eye contact is, instead of looking at screens or giving quick nods, people just keep eye contact. Taking a few extra seconds can make a big difference, especially when you're talking to, for shy or quiet people, a steady, gentle gaze makes them feel heard. And a part of the conversation if you feel like you're losing the group's attention. People for a few seconds can help pique their attention again, and this action reinforces feelings of belonging and importance. Change the way the group works into one Nelson Mandela, a place where everyone feels important and linked. A respected leader who is known for being humble and treating everyone with respect, no matter what. No matter their position or rank, Mandela knew how important it was to treat everyone even as a government leader surrounded by famous people. He was a one-of-a-kind person. Always spoke to people personally, and when he did, he took the time to look at everyone in the eye to learn their names and understand what they telling personal stories. This won him the trust and respect of both allies and opponents, building a bridge between opposite sides in a country that was split. Mandela's promise to treat each person as an individual sent a strong word that touched a lot of people and left a legacy of deep respect. So what does this idea mean when dealing with rudeness or disrespect? When someone treats us badly, we might want to defend ourselves or even brush them off. We can see the person as a person instead of just an attacker, though. Adopt a stoic attitude that lets you look past the current crime and consider that this small change in a person's humanity and goals point of view eases stress, which often causes the rude person to think again about what they're doing. If we treat them with respect, we often get people to change their behavior by even calling them by name. Staying true to the idea of treating each person with care, we show that their values stay the same, even though their deeds show a quiet strength. Quintessentially Stoic. And this way of thinking also helps bring up fears that people who are impolite often act that way because they psychological insecurities or a need to show who's boss. When you treat people with respect, you gently ask them to think about how they're acting without. When there is a confrontation, this polite behavior often makes them think twice about what they are doing, and in some situations it may even change their minds, lead them to self-correct instead of making them more angry or resentful, and you'll keep your honor. While forcing them to face their own flaws is, what about you, have you? Ever tried to deal with rudeness by focusing on respecting each other? Or you may have seen someone change the mood of a whole group by recognizing each person. Share your unique thoughts and experiences below, and let's look into the power of honor in changing even the most difficult. Third practice for interactions: point out what you have in common with other people. Practice number 3. Focus on what you have in common with other people. Have you ever gone home from a talk with someone you just met and thought, wow, that was one? I just recently had one of the best talks I've ever had. And at first I thought it was because I was a good communicator, but after some thought I realized the real reason was the person I was talking to. They really listened and reacted, and they made me feel respected. They knew how to make me feel so good about the talk, which brings us to one of the most important and useful rules of conversation, come from Stoic philosophy, pointing out parallels and sincerely praising. When someone acts rudely, others can help build harmony by giving them a sincere praise. When you praise them, it can make them feel awkward, which makes them more self-aware of the difference between the praise and how they acted. But remember, the compliment must be real. A fake praise is easy to spot and won't mean much. Sincere compliments show that you are sure of yourself and calm enough not to be affected by how they act. For instance, you could say, I respect how strong you are in sticking to your beliefs. That's really a compliment. This kind can make the other person think, and maybe even Stoics also say, that people should become aware of the bad things that are in their mood. Non-verbal cues to steer the talk in a way that makes the other person feel awkward. If they don't give up bad conduct, a calm gaze and deliberate silence, or even a small change in attention can show that what they're saying isn't getting through. Effect. If you stay calm, the other person may start to feel nervous. This anxiety that they feel when they know their insult doesn't hurt you is what really that they are insecure. A subtle method favored by Stoic thought is the idea that you can change the amount of signals you send. Find out when the other person is being nice and praise them by more cues, like nodding, making eye contact, and paying attention. On the other hand, hearing when they act rude or sarcastic, they will understand that their behavior is wrong when you cut down on your responsive signs. Not being pushed, this approach doesn't directly face but is highly good at changing other people's behavior without making them angry. Respond in one way when dealing with a rude person in a group. To let them know that their behavior is wrong is to focus on people who show. If everyone in the group has a positive mood, the rude person will feel alone. To pay attention to people who are nice and kind, this not only good behavior, but also hints in a subtle way to the sarcastic person that if they want to fit in, they might have to make some changes. A real-life example can be given from the philosopher Socrates, who decided to deal with good things. Philosophers and people he argues with in public often tell Socrates to, people who have open minds are making more conservative people think about how they feel. If indirect signs are not working, another smart idea is to give a warning in a roundabout way by describing the kinds of people who act in similar ways without naming them anyone in particular. This gives the rude person a chance to think about their behavior without. If you feel attacked, for example, you could say, "I love it when people show mutual." When talking about respect, this phrase gives the other person a chance to think on what they're doing without losing face. Sometimes through indirect signs, Stoics say that if that doesn't work, you should deal with the behavior directly without attacking the person, as Epictetus put it. It's not what happens to you doesn't matter as much as how you handle it. This means that if you need to have a discussion, focus on the behavior in question. For example, you could say that the words sound pretty bad. I'd like to keep the conversation upbeat, aggressive enough to stop bad behavior without making the person feel defensive. Finally, when nothing else works, a calm response with a bit of fun, that keeping a calm gaze and a small smile on your face can be the key. That mean words don't affect you and that you're in charge of the talk. For example, President Abraham Lincoln often he responded to critics' complaints with fun and wit, which made them confused, self-aware of how unreasonable their actions are. In the end, Stoic thought does not support revenge, but also suggests gentle, smart ways to let others. Seeing where their offensive behavior is weak and having faith in it doesn't need impulsive responses, but they can shine through quiet acts that show empathy and practice of kindness. Learn to separate your ego from your daily life. Practice number. Learn to separate your ego from attacks on your person. Attacks, it is hard to find someone who isn't moved by a child's smile. Seeing them makes me feel better, whether it's the purity in their soul or the freedom in their honesty, lost in what they're really interested in. I think that kind of loss is freeing, is something a lot of older people try to avoid, and I think the main reason is to protect themselves from being hurt, but now they're looking back. This is not a sign of strength, but of weakness, which is also why we can feel at peace when we look at how innocent children are, and let go of the fears and questions that are deeply rooted in our minds, because ones that we put on ourselves is one of the biggest of these. The fear of being criticized personally is what keeps us from living our best lives. This is where Stoic philosophy comes in handy. It gives us you should learn to keep your ego out of personal attacks, because that's how you can, when done right, this will help you keep your inner peace and never let other people control your feelings. The way we think can help us reach an almost unshakable mental state, separate and protect your ego from personal abuse by not letting other people's words or actions affect you. Go deep when someone insults or criticizes or directly tries to hurt us. They are just trying to get us to think about what we feel. Self to cause fear and nervousness, but once we refuse to when insults are thrown at you, the words you use become useless. When we don't respond, the person who is insulting us feels lost and may even start to doubt their own judgment. Don't get mad. Instead, take their insult with a cool head. Start to see that they are doing too much to get your attention. Here's how we can make those who don't respect us, aren't sure how to act, in an interview on The Morning. There were times when the host asked sharp, even aggressive questions. When asked about Russell stayed calm and unfazed. He had controversial ideas, but instead of getting angry, he just smiled and answered. It would be likely that I was wrong if everyone agreed with me. His answer not only showed confidence, but it also showed that he wasn't bothered by the opposite view. Russell kept calm and kept his sense of humor, which changed the argument into talking about less serious things shows that he is stable and not We are more likely to give in to peer pressure when we don't have to defend ourselves against abuse. Become more calm and sure of yourself and make a bigger effect on people. People who don't feel like they have to hide to avoid being judged are often seen as independent and self-reliant people. We need to be quiet, control ourselves, and being strong in the face of threats is sometimes the best way to respond. More than words, they know that those who are weak are the ones who rush to they protect themselves against criticism, while the steadfast, the person doesn't have to defend themselves because their tranquility shows how confident they are, and inner strength to get to this state of peace, which leads to when we don't need other people's support or validation, we need to accept ourselves. When we stop depending on praise or criticism, our true self becomes peaceful, and any threats from outside can't hurt those who have accepted. They are no longer bothered by what other people say, because they understand they know their own worth, and don't need to be told that anyone can do this to keep their emotions stable, which is the building blocks of a strong, durable life. Finally, learning to tell that protecting ourselves from attacks doesn't mean we have to be insensitive or hide our feelings, but rather knowing how to keep yourself safe from other people's INF effects. When we don't let their words shake us, we not only keep our peace, but we also show the person who insults us that they are the ones who are upset. Remember that calm and self-confidence and reactions based on it are not only signs of inner strength. One of the deepest things about power is that it doesn't need anyone else's approval. Stoic philosophy's lessons, and I think anyone who can understand and keep this way of thinking, you will find real freedom that isn't limited by anything. If someone judges or insults you from the outside, what do you think about being able to separate yourself from, have you ever been critical of someone? If so, share your ideas in the thoughts on the practice question below. Answer with, when comments are made, Kerr should be curious instead of angry. Anger or defensiveness are common responses to these strong feelings. Come up to protect ourselves from hurtful words, but these responses rarely happen. Bring peace to our hearts, but instead, they often make us feel stressed. Instead of getting into a fight, it's better to ask gentle questions like, why do you think that? Or what makes you say this method not only helps us stay calm, but it also makes the person insulting us feel uneasy, which could show how lacking in confidence they are when challenged. With doubts about their real goals, staying calm and interested not only helps us stay in charge, but also helps us understand better. A great Stoic philosopher named Epictetus once said, "We and those around us are said that how you handle things is more important than what they do to you." Stoic thought is based on the idea that what happens to us does. What really changes us is how we deal with and respond to these situations. While it's normal to feel angry, Stoicism suggests that we should focus on maintaining a calm and collected state. In times of conflict, curiosity aids us in maintaining our composure and observing the situation. It enhances our emotional intelligence and prevents negative outcomes. Anger can ignite relationships like wildfire, and reacting angrily when someone insults you may momentarily elevate your mood. While anger can provide a temporary sense of satisfaction, it can have long-lasting effects on our mental and physical health. If we don't manage our mental and physical health, our anger can easily lead to a state of stress that negatively impacts both our mind and body. Maintaining calmness is one way to prevent our body from spiraling into a series of negative responses. Being able to manage our emotions and maintain our inner serenity during stressful situations is crucial. Doesn't help, are always good, and sometimes we have to face facts we don't want to. Hear, though, that this process C is what lets us look at things again. This process C enhances our comprehension of ourselves and those around us. By delving into their motivations, we can identify the necessary changes in our behavior or perspective, Others, rather than seeing wonder as something dangerous, see it as a chance to learn how to ask questions and listen to others, especially during fights, which is a great way to find the truth and make things more realistic. We can avoid hastiness when we're curious about ourselves and the world. Having opinions that allow us to view things from different perspectives can help us stay calm, let go of negative emotions, and maintain inner peace. By being curious about ourselves, we can gain control over a situation without becoming upset. When someone insults you, this skill not only helps you maintain your inner balance, but it also transforms the insult into a vulnerability for the one who, politely but sharply, questions their lack of trust or fear in their actions. It's often clear that this method not only helps you maintain your dignity, but it may also prompt them to consider their goals instead of succumbing to their anger. The Stoic philosophy encourages us to control our emotions and maintain our composure when things go wrong. This balance of interest and calmness leads to a peaceful life, free from interruptions from others or short-lived anger. Lived anger. More importantly, it's a way to make the person who is insulting you feel bad about themselves, which will make them think twice about what they are doing. Actions. In this video, we've explored various approaches to Stoic philosophy, which teaches us how to handle rude people while maintaining our composure and respecting ourselves. We don't need to become angry or rush to defend our pride. Instead, by continuing your sentence quietly and with respect for each person, focusing on empathy, letting go of ego, and reacting with curiosity, you not only protect your own honor, but may also show the lack of trust in others. When you use insulting words, this method not only helps you deal with criticism, but it also builds a strong base of self-confidence. What do you think of these? Which of these methods do you think works best? And would you like to try it? What other ways have worked for you in life? Let us know in the comments below if you liked this. If you found this movie helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel to never miss new videos. We'll see you soon in our next videos. We will continue to explore the practical applications of the Stoic theory in daily life.